we could get started. Are we waiting for anyone else right now? All right. Where is my seat? No, here. Here we go. A day in the life of an online instructor is what we are doing for this class. We do have at least one person joining us online as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. So we have, they got their names right up here: Kimberly Stride, Lynn, Brown-Bulloch. Is that right? Priscilla, Hammond, and Danita Jones. We're so glad to have you guys here. And so I think you guys are going to start off, but it's also, there'll be some hopefully time for some questions and panel discussion on that as well. You'll be done if we were sticking with the 45-minute session thing around 12:40, and I'll kind of let you know what 5 minutes beforehand we're coming to that end. But we're so glad and grateful to have you guys here with us, and excited to hear about your life and your world for a little bit.
Well, thank you. And so our goal is just to kind of share a life in the day of our world. And so we decided that we were going to do like 5 to 7 minutes of sharing, and then that leaves us enough time at the end for questions. If you do have questions for specific people, just feel free. I'm going to start with Danita, who is our 15-year veteran, and I'm certain that she has not seen any changes in online since she started. So, okay, go ahead.
No changes whatsoever. Oh gosh, I could name quite a few. But nonetheless, my name is Danita Jones. I am the Director of Academic Online Support Services. I oversee a team of 3 academic success coaches. Actually, one that's now working part-time has recently resigned, so down to 2, but a team of 3 academic success coaches that basically we serve in an academic advising role. And there is 1 academic success coach per college. We have Jason Reese, who is the academic success coach for the College of Arts and Sciences, and he advises students that are working towards their Associate of Arts in General Studies, Bachelor's of Science in Human Services, RN to BSN degree students, as well as some of our Bachelor's of Business Administration students. We also have Chrissy Parham, who is the academic success coach for our Master's of Science in Management and Leadership students, as well as a portion of our Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration students for serving for the School of Business. Then we also have Lindsay Weingard, who is the academic success coach for the College of Education, School of Education. And she's the success coach for students that are in those particular academic programs. A day in our life can entail so much, starting with advising current students as well as new students. We work very closely with the enrollment and marketing team for online and service those students in regards to getting them advised. They do go through an orientation firsthand after they are accepted, and they go through a very engaged orientation that just gives them a lot of information regarding resources and programs and things that they have access to. And afterwards that we come into play and assist them in just getting scheduled for their classes, advising them, and informing them of just available resources. We also serve our current students. They meet periodically for advising each time that the portal opens. It opens at different times in comparison to the on-campus students, but for online, it opens at a different time frame each term. So once it opens, we begin in advising or helping them to get registered for their classes for the next upcoming term. One of the other things that we do a day in our life is, as far as faculty is concerned, whenever early alerts are issued, we're very, very highly engaged in just helping get those matters resolved, whether it's reaching out to find out if the instructor or faculty member has had no communication with them, just basically reaching out to find out what the issue is and just helping to resolve the matter, whatever it may be. If it's a matter of pointing them to other available resources such as Smart Thinking, the Student Success Center, we're able and kind of serve as a liaison to direct them on to those available resources. And not only those particular resources, but we really serve as a liaison for the entire university. Just student accounts, financial aid, the online chaplain, career services center, whatever we can do to help resolve a matter for that student, because there's so many issues that are presented to them, not so much academically, but there are some other things that might be preventing them from being successful in a course. So we're there to serve as that liaison to point them in the direction to get the help and the assistance that's needed so that they can continue on their academic journey. One of the other things that we assist with, we also are very highly engaged. I had a issue just this week. So we serve in various capacities and matters, but I had an issue just this week where my role was to basically investigate. There was an issue of harassment. There were some exchanges of communications via Canvas. And I had to, after it kind of got narrowed down as to the type of harassment, it came my way. So I served in the role of just really reaching out to the student that reported it. I reached out to that particular student and just wanted to acknowledge that the information had been received and that we were further working on it to resolve it. And then I reached out to the instructor for that course. The information had come via way of the evaluations at the end of the course. So I reached out to the instructor for information on the matter. And my next step is to reach out to the student that's been involved with the issue to kind of help in that matter. Don't think it would resort to anything just yet. Just really making sure that it ceases and doesn't occur again. So that's some of the things that and that's just something simple that we aid in. We also, I've worked very closely with these ladies here. Whenever if there's something going on, we'll help to resolve issues that might be going on in their particular courses. There was instances, I should say, where I worked very closely with Dr. Hammond, and where we're able to point students in the direction, as I aforementioned earlier, just in regards to the smart thinking. Sometimes students are having writing issues and just need some additional help. Whereas that information is also available in their course within Canvas, we can kind of serve as that additional aid and support to get them on to resources that they might need with writing. You also have students that have some struggles with a lot of the quantitative courses. So we're able to direct them on to the Student Success Center. We have had students that they're local, they live local, and they're able to come on campus and utilize the resources that are made available to them. So I don't want to take up too much time, but that kind of sums up just basically what we do, and I will, I guess, pass on.
Hey, so I'm Priscilla Hammond, and I work for the School of Business, and I'm a fully online professor. I come up here for meetings like this, but otherwise, if you're talking to me, I'm probably sitting at home in my pajama bottoms because you can always see me from the waist up. So
don't be giving away secrets.
Yeah. So that's one of the benefits of being an online professor. But we are always, because we don't necessarily have like specific office hours and specific class times. When I thought about what do I do as an online professor, what's sort of a day in the life, I couldn't like list it out. Like I have a class from 10 to 10:50, and then I have this, and then lunch, and then I meet with students. And so because it's so, it's just really all over the place. So I grouped it into like 3 categories of what I do in a day, and that's communication, research, and availability. So in terms of communication, I communicate with students every day. I don't think there's a day that goes by. I was sitting, don't tell Tyler, but I was sitting in there learning about chalk and wire, trying to resolve a student's textbook issue, which you have an email waiting for you when you get back about. So I'm communicating with the advisors. I'm communicating with our department. I'm communicating via discussion forums, because the discussion forums are the way that the students participate in class. So I need to be there as a participant as well. So I'm communicating discussion forums via emails. I'm making announcements. I'm communicating across different platforms with students. The colleagues in my school and division, Lynn is going to be leading efforts to do certain things. So I'm working with her, and Ray is adapting our syllabi so that we can then do what we need to do with the PIR forms. And so I'm kind of constantly communicating, even though if I'm not present, or communicating with colleagues in the school. University communications, it's hard when you're an online professor to know what's going on campus, and so I'm trying to hit up my SWU and read has anything been announced. I get the SWU news, and when you're on campus, you hear things through the grapevine, but I don't have that grapevine doesn't reach to Atlanta, and so I'm in there in SWU news and reading whatever I can read to make sure I'm kind of up on that. Committee interactions, I'm communicating with various committees I'm on. Affiliate mentoring and support, which is something that we do a lot as online. If you're a full-time online professor, you own a lot of the courses in the program. So I have a long list of courses that I either wrote or I own. And so if an affiliate is like, I don't understand this assignment, or this assignment's not working, or whatever, I'm the go-to person for that. So I'm guiding them through whether it's a Canvas issue, whether it's a course issue, those types of things. And then also, because I evaluate textbooks, I'm communicating with textbook publisher reps and that type of thing. So there's a lot of communication, and you almost have to kind of overdose on the communication since you're not present, here physically. The second thing is research. Because we're trying to teach online, there always needs to be something in front of the student that's current and contemporary and helps them better understand the topic from what they're going through right now, because I'm not at Michelin or at, the Gwinnett or Greenville healthcare system or whatever. I need to stay on top of that by reading whatever professional literature I can about the industry. I teach all the graduate level HR classes, so I get all these emails about EEOC and rulings and stuff like that, so I can make sure that the classes are always up to date. So I'm always reviewing professional publications for any developments in the field and that type of thing. And that also goes back to communication, because now I can use that in my discussion posts and stuff like that, where I can say, oh, that law has changed and now it's this. And so just doing research and finding things. And the third thing, communication research, and the third thing is availability. Online students are generally online evenings and weekends. That's when they're completing their coursework. And so, and online classes repopulate every 7 to 8 weeks. So I have a new group of students, a couple of classes coming through every 7 to 8 weeks, who I need to make sure, like in the first weeks, I'm there to be like, I'm here, so if you need anything, and in the, moving along to keep the course going along. And then, Sunday nights, I can't remember the last time I didn't get an email or something on a Sunday night saying the test didn't work, or I don't know how to upload this, or can I turn it in late, or whatever. And so there's kind of an ongoing sort of a cycle of the online student's life that you kind of get into that same cycle. So my husband is very used to me sending emails at dinner time, because that's when my students are online. You don't have to just be, I think one of the most important things for an online instructor is that you don't have to just be available with your time. You have to be available with your emotions, and you have to be spiritually available, because they're not here on campus. They don't get to go to chapel. They don't get to go to the dining hall and see you and sit down with you and say, I really am struggling with this right now. But you hear it in their posts, or they'll say, I didn't get to turn this in because of this issue. And you kind of dig a little deeper, and you just don't say, okay, I won't take full points off. You're not just saying, okay, you're concerned about your grade. You're like, I'm concerned about you as a whole person. So if it's something bigger than you can handle, we have an online chaplain, we have other people we can refer that to, but you have to be available, kind of emotionally to your students too, because I think that gaining students' trust is the key to online retention. I think grades are a big part of it, but they've got to know that there's somebody there that's like, a peer that they can talk to and that they feel. So like I said, that's not like a day in the life because I didn't tell you the tasks that I do, but I'm doing communication research and I'm just being available throughout every day.
Interesting use of terminology because I have similar concept. But I'll just start. I'm Lynn Bulloch. I've worked out in the School of Business since hired here. I was recruited in to start our MBA with Healthcare Administration concentration, and I still teach that Healthcare Administration concentration. But over the past year, got involved with the nursing program since we have an RN to BSN program, and we're trying to get accredited, and accreditation is one of those things that I do. So I've been working with that program. So I sort of have one foot in one school, one foot in this other program. But it's a good marriage, if you will. So I want to share that when I started 5 years ago, I came into the school business at the time that we still had the AGS model, and we were still providing face-to-face workshops, they were called, on site. And so I worked some out of our Greenville campus and some out of our Columbia campus, and provided primarily teaching in our graduate programs, the MBA and some of the MSNL, face-to-face as well as online, and then started working on developing further online. And so I just want to tag off of what Elizabeth shared so beautifully this morning and say we're really talking about regular lays versus baked lays here, face-to-face versus online. And because as we transitioned away from those face-to-face classes and evolved all of those classes online, we took the same content that we were teaching in the face-to-face courses. We used the same syllabus, the same content, and adapted it for an online platform. And so sometimes I think for faculty who may not have ever taught online, understanding how that translates is a real big gray area and a big question. And there's very definitive answers to how that translates. I think it's a bit beyond the discussion today in 5 to 7 minutes. But what I did want to share that pivots nicely off what Priscilla introduced is that there's like a circadian rhythm to online teaching. You said cycle to it. We kind of engage with the student in their cycle of learning and activities for learning. And we really do. Plus, we also have these expectations that we've set for online because we aren't operating within the structured environment of campus and class times, but we're still operating within structure in that students need to know they can expect certain things from us at certain points. And so that circadian rhythm for me is what I wanted to talk about, and it very much flows along with what we say we do in our faculty requirements. And that begins really, there's weekend work that we do, as Priscilla mentioned, in wrapping up the prior week. But on Mondays, we're all about setting the tone. If we don't do it on Sunday night, Monday morning, setting the tone for the upcoming week. And our classes are provided through modules. So everything that a face-to-face instructor would provide in an online, in a face-to-face class, we provide in an online module. And those modules primarily consist of announcements, devotion, engagement through discussions, and then assignment. And so on Monday, we do our initial announcement for the week, introducing the major requirements, introducing the concept and the major learning activities or expectations of the students for that week. We introduce the primary learning outcomes and the key activities. And we may go more in depth or we may go less in depth. I think that differs greatly between faculty members. Then we move more into getting involved in devotions. The earlier part of the week, I try to engage in devotion discussions, and then midweek, Wednesday, Thursday, engage in discussion posts with the students. Now, what I share with students is that devotion and discussion are our time in class. So that is where we engage with the student, and that's where we have that sharing that would naturally occur in conversation, in relationship and interactions within a classroom. We have that within the devotion post and within the discussion post, and that's why engagement on our part as faculty members are so important, because that's the reply to the students. That's the asking the question and stimulating the thought and giving a response that's supportive and encouraging and continuing the development and extension of that thought, our response. So we moved from that then toward the end of the week, but all throughout this time, we have to have picked up grading for those key assignments all the assignments for the prior week. And usually I try to complete grading Wednesday or Thursday and give a post to students, an announcement post to students to say, okay, grading is in, and here's some overall summary feedback for you as a class on some things that are high points and low points. These are some areas that you may want to all focus on and work on. I have found individual grading feedback is significantly important, and we are continually working on trying to make that more substantive and summative and have some structure to that. But I really found once I started providing announcements with overall class summary feedback when grades went in, that those things students really paid attention to. So it's almost like where they wouldn't catch it on their individual feedback, it had more meaning to them. When I said, this is a trend in the class, and you're leaving points on the table. In your APA, you're always making this error. Don't leave these points on the table. So that is sort of, the wrap-up portion. And honestly, Saturday, Friday and Saturday, I'm deeper in those discussions. And then Sunday, we're dealing with those issues of them getting actually to the point of submitting their assignments, and so they've got last-minute questions or last-minute problems that they need your help with. That availability is super important, and our work does tend to be heavier in the evening, in the later part of the day in the evening, and then also on the weekend. I would say I do have, along with that, I have some administrative responsibilities. So we also have to have an eye to, even though, we're online instructors, we have to have an eye to administrative issues. So we have certain things that we do in the online environment to ensure that we're in good shape for accreditation. Those faculty requirements are one of them. We have Instructor Insight, which we've all heard from Karen and CTE about that program and its capabilities. I think we're not using it to a full extent right now, but it's critically important for us because it replaced faculty mentoring and monitoring. And when we first started faculty mentoring and monitoring in the School of Business, we found courses where there was no instructor engagement. Now, they were primarily taught by adjunct faculty that were maybe somewhat disengaged and therefore didn't really know what the expectations were because they hadn't been formalized. So maybe they didn't even know that they weren't meeting expectations. But imagine what that experience was like for the student. So faculty mentoring and monitoring was important to us to ensure that every course we have adequate faculty engagement, and we don't have any courses out there that are just coasting, if you will, where students feel like they're alone. We know that the engagement element in terms of our role as online instructors engaging the students is critical to their persistence and to retention. And that also is a key accreditation issue for us. So that's another reason why those key elements that we say we're going to do at those set times are important for us to be consistent with, because it creates that rhythm for the student and gives them a sense that they're not journeying alone, that we're there journeying with them. We tag team with the academic success coaches who are truly their journey coaches in this programmatic pursuit, and work together to ensure that we help them, we do all that we can to help them to persist. And when we see that a student is not attending or is submitting substandard work and not responding to our feedback, kind of persisting in that substandard work, then we engage with the academic success coaches to say, hey, we've got a student who's struggling here, and we feel like we need to put intervention in place. And we do a great job. I think they do a great job of working with us and us working with them with the goal of trying to retain the students, to get them the support that they need.
Well, they've done a beautiful job capturing kind of the tidbits that put together our day. And one thing that we found as we were talking prior to coming here today is that we do very similar things. And so what you've heard from one to the other, and I'm just going to share a couple more pieces of what our days look like, because they're very similar between us. So when I looked at it, when I thought about a day and being extended, I actually divided it into 4 areas because of, I go back to, I know Dr. Schatzberger is doing a session right now on promotion and tenure. And so, one question that I know has kind of been presented to us is, well, if you're online, how can you be engaged with us as a university? What do you contribute to us as a university? And so even though online is different, we do contribute in a different way than, and I'm here on campus, but then I'm also online. And so being on campus 8 to 4, and then you go home and do your do your online stuff and weekends, so they become very long days. So I divided it into, with the idea of promotion and tenure, teaching, administrative, scholarship, and service. And when you think about those things, I'm just going to add a couple things to teaching. One of the things that's very important to all of us are the Zoom meetings. And that's something unique, at least from my background and experience. It's unique to SWU in that we have these Zoom meetings on a regular basis every week, and that's basically our office hours. And so those are where our students, we hope that they attend and can interact, but they are recorded and they're put up on the announcement section. As part of this too, I know Heather Gray is here today, and I know in one of the courses in particular that's on research tools, that Heather actually runs one of those Zoom sessions, and that's specific to that, to libraries, resources, and searches, and we put that up there too. So we have these Zoom sessions that, since we aren't there person to person, they have this opportunity to engage. And again, engagement comes up over and over. We just engage in a different way. The other thing that might be different to my program, being an EDD person, is summer residency. And I can tell you that summer residency was absolutely phenomenal. And I say that because to me, it's like the best of both worlds. My favorite to teach is hybrid because then you get to see them and you get to interact with them in person too. And so summer residency really solidified that human contact and understanding. They got to know us as people, and they get to know us online as people, and we really make an effort to do that. Through your introduction, through sharing pictures, through sharing what's happening in your life, just like you want to hear what's happening in their life. But it also helps with that relationship. I just had a situation this week where I did a Zoom session with a single student because I saw through her posts that I could tell that there was something wrong. And I spent, half hour with this young lady on the phone wondering if she was doing the right thing. She's still in the program. She's caught up. Her work is where it needs to be because we take that time to reach out to them. Another thing is that I saw that a few of the students were having problems with this, what was supposed to be an easy mock IRB. Well, I ended up doing a private Zoom with about 3 or 4 of the students to walk them through section by section. And we can use Zoom in those ways to support what we can't do, pulling people outside or aside within a classroom. So that's a really important feature. And the summer residency is really important just from the standpoint of learning more about the people that we're working with, our students and whatnot. So it was phenomenal in a lot of ways. Administratively, the writing of the courses and rewriting of the courses, always updating and everything else. But the other thing is when you come into a new program, and Lynn can talk to this as well, and I'm sure, but writing all of the manuals and handbooks and rubrics and everything else that goes with that new program and has to be in place for initial accreditation to take place. So I'm sure my prayers would be as you go for accreditation. And then Dr. White Pugh is with us today, and so I want to acknowledge her because she helped me get the portal set up. And so now we have this beautiful EDD portal that has different sections of forms and everything that happened at the summer residency is uploaded for the students to go back and review. It has a library section, it has a research section, it has an IRB section, it has a dissertation committee member section. So everybody has these resources in one place. And I'm the one who has uploaded everything, and I'm the one monitoring all of that. But it's a fantastic resource for our students and affiliates who are working with us. Going along with that, trainings. I just held a second training for affiliates who are going to work with the dissertation committees and who want to teach with us, because the one thing that I tried to keep in mind is we have a very important mission through SWU, and I want people who come on board to understand what our mission is and what they're getting into and what we expect when they're working with our students. And so I actually hold trainings through Zoom, and just held a second training for that this summer. And that brings up another thing. Online people don't have a summer, so when you say welcome back, we've been here.
What'd you do this summer? Hot.
Yeah. With the scholarship, I know that I've been in the SWU news a couple times for different publications and books and things, and I appreciate the acknowledgement, but really it's my way of providing resources to my colleagues in the field. And so, but we're always looking for articles and other resources and collaborating, and that's something else too that I hope to see more of, is collaborating with other colleagues in both my department and other departments, so that we can do more publications and presentations. Dr. Hall Hyman, she and I, it was a co-presentation, and it was scheduled during our accreditation week, so she had to do it by herself. But we have another one coming up in November, and up in Chicago, and the two of us will be co-presenting up there. So we look for these opportunities, and Dr. Hall Hyman is an online person as well. So you have two online people who aren't on the same campus, who are creating these relationships to go out and to present together. And finally, service. And I think it's really important. I was close enough this year where I could be on campus, and so I really tried to work with both undergraduate and graduate, because I think that that's an important trajectory, that they don't look at, oh, well, she's, at the doc level. We want to capture them when they're earning their bachelor's, and get them interested in what the master's might look like, and get them interested in our doc program. So it wasn't all marketing, though. I have to say, I love to just interact with our undergrad. I have kids that age, so I'm like, oh, you too. So, serving as a mentor with each one reach one, and serving on committees. So I've been serving on the advisory council, which I know some of you have as well, and graduate admissions chair, advisory meetings with Danita and Lindsay and other people there. I served on the IRB task force, the retention task force. So when people ask, how do you get involved, and if you're only online, and I know I've seen faces, even though we're Zoom faces, we're still there, and we're still contributing and still part of the university. Also more globally, working with 10 at the Top, and 10 at the Top is upstate, the 10 districts in the upstate. I'm working with them on teacher recruitment and retention, and then Center for Success up in Illinois, I do webinars for them. Again, it's teacher leadership, teacher retention, and teacher recruitment. And then I was just trained as a CAPE assessor. So all of, you know, the if universities have a teacher prep program, most likely they're CAPE accredited. And so I'm now serving as a CAPE accreditor. So that's just some of the things that I do to keep my myself up and relevant, I guess, current, and still, you know, bring that back and contribute. Because by serving as a CAPE accreditor or a CAPE assessor, you come back and you bring that wealth of information back to your own program. So that's some of the things that we do. So we want to open it up to any questions.
As we look to expand online as a university, what are the things that as a university we need to fix to be more accommodating to online faculty?
One answer. One of the biggest challenges that I've had as an online, and so I started as an affiliate in 2013 and was teaching online here as well as two of our other Wesleyan institutions. And one of the other schools had monthly faculty meetings that were very interactive with their online affiliate, and faculty were all participated. And it was actually mandatory for affiliates to attend those faculty meetings as well. Now, they probably had other more Robert's Rules of Order voting kind of things that we weren't necessarily, you know, part of that, but it was training and development and those kinds of things. And I felt, you know, I was more committed to Southern Wesleyan because my goal was to be here full time, but I felt more connected to a school in Oklahoma than I felt to Southern Wesleyan, just because I was seeing the other faculty members, I was engaging with them from far away, but I received the same training and development that all of their professors. If they changed, they went off Blackboard to Pearson Learning Studio, I think, and then now they're at Brightspace. Anyway, everything. Both Indiana Wesleyan and Oklahoma Wesleyan have changed their learning management systems 3 times in the past 5 years. So y'all, praise God that you're at Southern Wesleyan. So yeah, 3 times in 5 years. So I had to learn. I went from Blackboard to Pearson to Brightspace. And so each time we had to go through, you know, just basic training and stuff, but they had every person, affiliate, no matter if you taught one class a year or you were full-time, you were going through that. So that's one thing. The other thing is I would say, as we're writing courses and as we're developing the programs and stuff, we have to assume that the people who are teaching them don't know everything that we know, you know, and build those things in that support the faculty member, that support the affiliate or whatever, and support the students, honestly. And one of the things I told Tyler in the meeting was, I said, is there any way that if we know there is an assessment, a chalk and wire assessment in a class, that the first thing the student has to do, module number 1, is go through a little Q&A about they know how to use chalk and wire and they have an account and everything, and they check that off, so that week 4 on Sunday at 8 p.m. when they're doing their paper, they're not going, what's chalk and wire, and calling me, you know, because I don't know what it is. But no, I'm just kidding. But, you know, I mean, the affiliate might be, you know, in that same place. So at that very first thing, it's like, you have to do this before you can go on. So thinking through, like, what are the issues going to be week 4 of a 7-week class that's got this new assessment in it that we haven't thought through, because it's so, as we administrate these things, it's so second nature to us. We're just like, well, that's chalk and wire. It's done this way. And the affiliate and the students are sitting out there going, what? You know, so just building those types of things in.
I want to tag off of that. I mean, this is a hot button for me. And it's a real candid answer. We still haven't built our online platform. Having a learning management system, all right, Candace, is not an online platform. I taught in 2 other large online programs, Liberty University, Ohio University. They're both very large programs. They run multiple sections of every course. As I talked about this circadian rhythm that we have for an online course, there is a circadian rhythm, if you will, for an online program. For the entire, there's an infrastructure design that we're missing. And we started putting that infrastructure design in place, a couple of years, what's it been, 2 years now, a year, with this School Online effort. And we got a lot of development work proposed and in the process of implementation, and then we dropped a lot of it. So we started and stopped, and in this case, everybody went back to doing what they were doing. And even some of the good things that we were doing, like faculty mentoring and monitoring, have gotten dropped and have fallen to the wayside. And even plans that we said we would do instead of faculty mentoring and monitoring. And that was one element of the platform. That's a critical element. That's your quality control. We said we would do instructor insight, but we're not really using it. For retention, we've got dropout detected, but we're not really using it. Not to say that no one's using it. I think you have pockets of people using it to different degrees. But nothing is, and this is in a bad word, it's flu, and I'm so sorry it is because it shouldn't be. But nothing is, that might be good. Nothing is standardized. Very little is standardized. We had the faculty requirements, which was the most that we had toward some standardization, and that was just regarding the faculty expectations for teaching online. That wasn't the online infrastructure and platform. And even that now has sort of, I won't say fallen to the wayside, but it's not being used across the university. We're using it in the school of business. We have to for our accreditation that's coming up. We're using it in nursing. We have to for our accreditation that's coming up. But what I find is that we're not having to. It's either never got implemented or just slipped to the wayside because we don't have this formalized movement toward creating this entity that is School Online. So what has happened is School Online has slipped back to what School Online was in its underdeveloped state.
And I think what
It's
there are.
time right now.
Oh, sorry.
So I'll let you do the question as well. Really quick here.
I can't wait for me to get out of here. That's the question. Actually, to all of you. How do you address situations where students submit work that you suspect they didn't do?
Well, we have dealt with those issues on quite a few occasions. Plagiarism has occurred. And normally what takes place, what I've always done is reach out. It's generally that communication between myself or either the academic success coach and back with the instructor. But we have had to take it to higher levels, such as Dr. Strickland getting involved. I've only known of one case where it led to expulsion during my years of service here, but it's a serious matter. Now, it varies. I've seen the situations vary where grace has been given and some students may not have truly known about what plagiarism really is. So that's where we kind of get involved to direct them, along with the assistance of the faculty member, to make readily available or either direct them on to the resources that are available to help them, such as directing them on to library resources, Smart Thinking, you have Turnitin. We also have, I know Purdue OWL, that's been another resource because there's, a lot of times students don't even understand APA formatting, things like that. But as far as your question, we do get very highly involved in resolving that matter, and most importantly, directing them on to resources so that if they're not knowledgeable, then they can become knowledgeable and better themselves.
We have Turnitin as a program that evaluates for that. I have a built-in plagiarism detector. I don't know why, but I can read something and I can see change of voice like that. And I'm like, that came off the internet. So I'll usually copy it and paste it in Google.
What I'm referring to is a student whose writing was below average, and then the resubmission of that, they knocked the top out of it.
I know what it's saying. It's someone else's work, not necessarily plagiarizing,
Yeah.
but someone else has sat down to do this assignment for the student. Have to address that.
I only had one incident like
I
that.
think that you would handle it in the exact same way that you would have handled it. Like online is no different from on-site in those types of issues. You ask questions and you pursue that with the student to discuss the work in a very, not that I'm saying you didn't do this work or anything kind of way, you know, it's like in a very gentle way, but approach them to say,
It's definitely a situation where we have to have a conversation with the student, right? There's got to be, you know, there's a phone conversation,
And
a
usually-
Zoom conversation.
and if there is an accusation of plagiarism, we are supposed to have a third person in on that too. We're supposed to let our dean or our department chair or somebody know and have a